morning, everyone, and welcome back to the India International Cargo Show IICS Exhibition and Conference 2025. I am Pinky, your host for the show, and it is a pleasure to welcome you all to Day 2 of IICS 2025. We gather once again at South Asia's largest and most premium logistics exhibition, a platform that seamlessly brings together air, ocean, and surface logistics under one roof. Powered by Samsara Group, IICS 2025 stands as a reflection of how dynamic, integrated, and future-ready the multimodal logistics sector has become. Day 1 delivered an exceptional start. From the grand inauguration to powerful conversations, we witnessed industry leaders share strategies, technologies, and ideas that are defining the next chapter of global logistics transformation. Delegates walked away with valuable insights and a renewed sense of purpose for the opportunities ahead. To relive the energy and brilliance of yesterday, let us begin with a short recap. Can we have the AV, please? Let me also take a moment to thank our partners and sponsors. Powered by Samsara Group, Platinum sponsor Turkish Cargo, Gold sponsor Etihad Cargo and Cathay Cargo, Silver sponsor Sidecare, Lanyard sponsor JW Group, Bag sponsor MSC, banking partner DBS Bank India, and our lounge sponsor is Markel. The opening day set a strong foundation, and today we continue that momentum with an even deeper focus on insights, partnerships, and cutting-edge solutions. Over the next 2 days, the exhibition floor will continue to showcase innovations from leading logistics companies across the value chain, while our conference will feature focused discussions, expert-led panels, and thought leadership sessions tailored to every segment of the cargo and logistics ecosystem. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin Day 2 of IICS 2025 with anticipation, curiosity, and ambition. It's time to explore new ideas, strengthen networks, and push the boundaries of what is possible for the global logistics sector. Welcome to Day 2 of IICS 2025. Let's make it extraordinary. We begin our day with one of the most strategically significant themes shaping India's global trade future. Connecting continents through IMEC, recent logistics developments driving India's trade. As India invests in next-generation infrastructure, the nation is strengthening its ability to serve as a bridge between regions and markets. Initiatives like IMEC are reshaping the way goods move across continents, creating new opportunities for speed, resilience, and diversification. Today's panel brings together leaders who will analyze how India can leverage these developments to emerge as a pivotal connector in global supply chains. First, I would like to call on stage our absolutely wonderful moderator for this panel discussion, Mr. S. Ramakrishna, advisor, FFFAI. Let's hear it for him, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, sir. With long-standing experience in freight forwarding and logistics operation, he contributes strategic guidance and industry insight to support the forwarding community and assist in trade facilitation and policy advocacy. Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator, Mr. S. Ramakrishnan. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Vivek Sharma, President, India Subcontinent and Middle East, ZIM Integrated Shipping Services. With extensive experience in liner services, Mr. Sharma plays a critical role in strengthening maritime connectivity and trade flows between Asia, the Middle East, and global markets for one of the world's leading container shipping lines. Welcome, Mr. Sharma. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Raju Anthony, Chief Operating Officer, Abrao Group. He serves as the Chief Operating Officer of Abrao Group, a leading maritime and logistics enterprise in India. He oversees shipping agency operations, port services, and container logistics, playing a key role in strengthening the company's capability to support global trade and supply chain connectivity. Welcome, Mr. Anthony. Moving on, next I would like to invite on stage Mr. Alexey Kravchenko, Commercial Director, FESCO. He oversees FESCO's multimodal cargo, rail sea shipping, and international trade corridors, playing a key role in facilitating efficient freight movements between Eurasia and South Asia. Welcome, Mr. Alexey. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Akshyat Bhatia, Vice President Logistics, Adani Group. He heads logistics for Adani Group's energy and power verticals, leading the company's push into integrated freight forwarding and supply chain infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Mr. Bhatia. Guys, I think we should have some more energy in this room. Let's start our day with some good energy. So much better. Now I would like to invite on stage Mr. Tapaswi PVN, Vice President, EXIM Commercials and Logistics, Arvind Limited. Steering global supply chain management, vendor coordination, and international freight, Mr. Tapaswi leads commercial operations and logistics for one of India's leading textile and apparel manufacturers, ensuring efficient global distribution and customs complaints sourcing. Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Anurag Chaturvedi, General Manager Logistics, Jindal Power. He manages project-level freight coordination, bulk cargo movement, and multimodal transport across power generation and infrastructure projects. His expertise ensures critical supply chain reliability and efficient execution of logistics for heavy industry requirements. Welcome, Mr. Chaturvedi. And Mr. Rama, over to you. Have a wonderful panel discussion.
Good morning to everybody. I want 2 rounds of applauses, please. One for IIC. They have done wonderfully well. This is my second year. They are much far better this year. Maybe next year will be much greater. The second for the Indian Navy, who have been protecting us for the cargo on the Red Sea. They require larger applause. You have seen the panelists here. They're extremely vibrant panelists. Today we are talking about IMEC, which is India, Middle East, European Corridor. Whenever there is a crisis, we have an opportunity, and this opportunity has come because of the Houthis. I think we should thank them better. This India, Middle East, Europe corridor is going to be the initiation which has come from India. And basically it is a sea, rail, again sea route. It is going to avoid the entire Red Sea. Probably is going to be more in terms of the number of containers going to be small, so taking care of the containers in the rail is much greater than the larger vessel which are attacked on the Red Sea. Or could be one of the reason for this IMEC, the entire corridor. But anyway, for us in India, this is going to be a great opportunity to connect with the European nations, and hopefully the cost of logistics will also come down very greatly. That's a hope. And flow of goods is going to be faster, is one another opportunity for us. I would request now the panelists have a 1 minute each of them to talk on this subject. Then it will be followed with couple of questions to each of the panelists. They are experts in their fields. One is from the textile, the other from the shipping. There are two shipping company people, one from the power, then one from Adani Group, who are into multifaceted companies, both all into the ports, logistics, and various other things. I think it's going to be a real interesting session, and this is IMEC is really a fresh topic where we can deliberate more on that. We would request each panelist to take a minute. We will exactly finish in 1 hour. The last 10 minutes is going to be a question answer session. Please, all of you who want to ask questions, write it and keep it ready. We can start it. We start from you, Vivek ji.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here among the panelists here, the best from the industry, from their background. And of course, great to be here in IICS once again. I think this is one platform which is binding us together, and it is good to meet all the industry stalwarts. It's nice to catch up with old friends, because I don't think in the day-to-day routine we get stuck. So I think it is good to come up over here and meet everyone face to face, revive some old memories. So it was a great fun to be here yesterday also, and today, of course, we are looking for a more hectic and the busy day in the time to come. Of course, coming into the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, that's the topic what we have for the discussion today. As Rama already said, every crisis leads to the opportunity. So I think this is high time as an industry in shipping, logistics, supply chain, exporters, importers. We are looking at an alternate source of transportation now. So we are so stuck for ages into Suez Canal that if there is anything going wrong, everything is stuck. So I think this is the right opportunity coming at the right time. The only thing is that all the stakeholders needs to come together and try to find a way out. It will not happen with one agency or with one country, because this is a job of trade with the global countries involved, global regions involved, different stakeholders involved. So it will be a very interesting proposition for the time to come, and we hope that we are able to see things moving till the time we are active.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, Raju.
First of all, a big thank you for ISCS for getting this organized so well. I think the first day, it was astounding to see the entire stakeholders in the value system of logistics, all the key players being present. I think the feedback that we received from all across, from all the leaders that were present, is that it's absolute value for time and money. So a big congratulations to ISCS on this. On the topic, I think it couldn't have been more relevant given the geopolitical scenario that we have, the Swiss blockade that we have, as Vivek was mentioning. I just want to give it from a perspective from an Indian EXIM. How should the EXIM operators actually view this? I think it is very simple, and that is to make India a preferred point of origin for Middle East and Europe trade. I think this is the anthem that we are going to sing when we are thinking about IMEC. That's it. Have a wonderful day.
Alexey.
Thank you, Mr. Rama. Thank you, valuable speakers, for your words. I represent FESCO, which is a Russian container company, and we are here as major experts because we are not working in Europe, but we are maybe one of the best world professionals in arranging transportations under such corridors. We work a lot on east to west corridor, and there are several additional new corridors that are developed in Eurasia right now. In these times, like after COVID times and all these geopolitical issues with Red Sea, the world understands that the key is diversification. Everybody needs a variety of opportunities how to deliver this cargo. I hope that within this session we could look at the good experience that already exists on the market, and we could discuss how to build this new corridor for India, because I really see that India requires a lot of corridors how to deliver the cargoes. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Akshyat.
Thanks, Ram. Thanks for being the moderator for the session, and thanks to IICS for having all of us over at this splendid session first thing in the morning. IMEC in itself is a very interesting corridor. You know, it goes beyond logistics, and we were discussing that, right? It links to data, it links to energy, it links to potentially hydrogen in the years to come. To simplify it, you can break it down, you know, into three parts, which is India to the Middle East, Middle East to Middle East, and then Middle East to Europe, right? And I think we'll try and break that down during the rest of the session. But other than just the Houthis, I think worth noting out that we also had a vessel stuck during COVID. So that was the second disruption in 3 years. So if every 2 years you're going to have a disruption, you need to, as I was telling you guys in the lounge, you need to find the shortest line between Bombay and Europe or Mundra and Europe. And you know, that's what the IMEC truly represents. We'll get into that later.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Tapaswi.
thank you, Ramakrishna, and thank you, IICS. This is a wonderful event. Last year also I was here, and this year also. So this is like a, you know, festival of logisticians all get together. It's not just the forwarding community or the CHA community or the shipping community, which do it separately, but this is under one roof. Excellent. So coming to this topic, it was music to my ears when I initially heard about this, because we export a lot of TUs to European market. So if this is made possible, then it's like making it possible everything what we thought of and what we imagined that it couldn't happen. So let's look forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, first of all, IICS for arranging this. Of course, this is my first time to this event. Yes, it's a very dynamic subject where at least in my company, we have started thinking this way back around 2 years before that if it is completely implemented, then what exactly will be happen. So India, basically, normally, generally, what we are doing it currently is more of the African markets, Botswana, Mozambique, and Zambia. But of course, indeed, this is going to be beneficial for our Middle East factories, which is there in Saudi Arabia and Oman, which has started producing the steel in a massive scales. So looking forward, let's see how the major developments will happen and how the steel markets we can able to explore more into the European segments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now the context is set. We as an Indian, we always say Atithi Devo Bhava. We have 3 expats. So the first goes to you, Alexey. With your experience on the Russian rail network, including INSTC and other European corridors, from your experience, will IMC act as a competitor or is going to be complement the entire system?
Thank you, Mr. Rama. As the main Indian here, I will reply. You know, as I said, for sure, right now, the world requires diversification. So, on the one hand, it will not be competitor. For sure, it will be an addition to existing routes and addition to new routes that also will be developed as north, south-north corridor as well. northern sea route as well. So there are a lot of corridors that are now developed right now. But on the other hand, you all need to understand that this is a very long journey to launch this corridor. It is not only to build an infrastructure, which is an issue, but another thing, it is an organizational issue. This should be one single document, maybe a single and independent operator that should make it seamless transportation. Otherwise, this corridor will not be competitive against all water and other routes. However, I do believe that in the 2021 century, for sure, the economic growth will cover all the existing corridors. And I do believe that India will require the short, maybe a bit more expensive, but short and strict way to reach to the Europe.
Thank you. That's a good analogy. Nothing is going to be quick fix methodology. It has to be a process. And to talk about that process, we request Vivek to come on the stage where we say he has got an experience in Asia, Middle East, Europe. So therefore, from your perspective, IMEC is also India, Middle East, Europe. So how do you envisage IMEC improving the freight cost? Number one. Number two, transit. Number three, the safety of the goods. These are three things. On the first session, you can talk about it.
You know, coming into the IMEC when we are, it's a very initial stage. Yeah. You know, we are just talking about it. The most important is, why do we need IMEC? That's the first question I think we need to answer. We have seen a scenario where we had an issue in the Suez Canal as number one. Then, of course, we talk about the geopolitical issues. So we need to be very, very on the business side. But I don't think the geopolitical issues are under control, right? We are not controlling anything out of it. So what we are controlling is the business, how we can manage the business with the current circumstances. So the immediate need was to have an alternate to Suez. And today we have the alternate of Cape, but it is not helping the business. You know, everybody is struggling. The carriers are struggling. The exporters are struggling. The importers are struggling. Logistics, supply chain, everything is getting impacted with the longer transit today. So when we compare the IMEC coming into the fray in the future, the most important is this, all of us who are here should be talking about it. You know, I still feel that, you know, this IMEC discussion is very restricted to a very small forum.
Correct.
So, you know, we were having a chat in the lounge that this is high time that more and more people are speaking and talking about it at any opportunity, especially when we are meeting the government officials, you know. Any port officials getting into the government of India at any level, Concor, I don't know, we have to speak to various stakeholders to create a value when we are talking about it. That's most important. The second is, you know, it's again a very initial kind of a study. I will not compare the current Cape services, which is going on, but if we go to the old traditional Suez Canal route also, we are estimating that getting into the IMEC route to Med is one part, and the North Europe is the second part. So when we are talking about purely on the Med part of the business from India going into Europe, we will have at least 30% of the saving on the transit time, which is not a small number, you know. I don't know how many people are really seriously thinking about it, evaluating it, because 30% reduction in the transit time in the old time of Suez were around 24, 25 days into the Med, and then going another, you know, 4 or 5 days into North Europe. 30% reduction in transit is very, very critical when we are looking at a supply chain and when we are looking at the premium cargo moving from India, right? So we talk about pharma, we talk about electronics, we talk about high-value garments, textile, furniture. This is all high-value goods moving from the India into the Europe side. So when we are looking at this 30% reduction on the transit, there is already a value attached to it. You know, I will not put a commercial quotient to it. You know, that is for every commodity to challenge. Sure. But if you talk about the transit benefits, we are looking at the cost on one side. We are looking at a product availability on the second side. We are creating a value for the customer at the destination. And of course, commercial is always a part of the discussion.
Predictability.
So, something which is a need of the hour, because we are, I think as a community, we are suffering for the last 2 years right now.
Correct.
It started, it's almost like 2 years now in January, March, again it will be 2 years time. So it's not easy to come out of it, but I think if you look out for a value propositions, as I said, on the transit side, it's very big. On the commercial side, it is again very big. On the product availability is again, and the fourth, the most important, end of the day, the customer. They should be happy and satisfied that India is able to deliver as per the commitment. And that is what the whole world is watching. It is not by saying that we say India is the next China, but I think we need to work really hard to be a next China. And we need to be positive, we need to be optimistic about it, but I think more and more people need to speak and talk about it in every forum. We should not be limiting ourselves for this session and then we forget. It should not be that case. So we need to speak more and more about it among the industry, among the stakeholders, among various organizations that we deal with, and especially when we are looking at, and by the way, this is not a small project. This is India, Middle East, Europe corridor. And I think we need another hundreds of people to come into this and talk about it.
Thank you so much. I entirely agree with you. The IMEC, probably the analogy could be AI. We keep talking about AI without realizing what is AI and how it is going to improve or affect the similar way. But at least there is a beginning. The most important thing in this corridor probably I feel is that, the just-in concept which the Japanese have started, if everything is assured, the deliverability is also assured. We come to now Mr. Anurag Chaturvedi, who is from Jindal Powers, and they are very big into power and the heavy industry sector. So IMEC looks container-centric as of now. But how do you see your industry excelling into it, especially with the large plants, power plants, and heavy industry? How is it going to be helpful from IMEC point of view?
Thank you, sir. See, IMEC is, as I said earlier, there was a discussion already started a few years before. But if we see the prospects of industry where I am coming in, so all kind of EPCs like the power projects, what we are constituting, right now 3 major projects we are doing in South Africa. And all of those, the minimum sizable component, the minimum weight, what we have is 18 metric ton, and that goes to up to 700 metric ton. So that is how the scale we are talking about. But there was a discussion internally with the government also. I mean, if in Kazakhstan and a couple of more countries, which is ex-USSR, if we can establish few more steel production plants there, but that has been again ruled out because of we see the very good prospects into this project, and that is now being started. We have started in, the execution is and the land acquisition started in Rajasthan. So you can see, imagine, we are already thinking of into very positive if these things will get triggered. Otherwise, the other way, the most of the things what we see in internal discussion, especially with the trade compliance experts, the trade barriers what we have today between the countries crossing our neighboring countries especially, how the things will happen, the anti-dumping laws into the different countries, that's very stringent. At least today it is very stringent, especially Europe. Europe is involving themselves into that. I don't know what is the future looks like, but the duty structure from products from India is very heavy, very heavy. So delta, if relaxation happens into all these countries, the delta, what we are talking about, 7 to 10% of the value add, if we able to save 25 to 30 days of the transit time. That is how the things are coming up. But how many industries, the steel producing industries or cement, and there are a lot of commodities which maybe in first stage will move through containers. Availability of the containers, clearances, single gateway clearances. So trade experts are already on it. Trust me, I'm already going to the forums whether these discussions are already started. But of course, it's not so easy as Sir has said. There's a lot of barriers from the governments for political needs. This has to be. Saudi Arabia is very clear into that. There's almost green signal from there. They're ready to do it. Even they're ready to start partially from Saudi Arabia to Europe. So that much, even they are ready to do investments also. But why not to India? Because of neighboring conflicts, and that if it is resolved. Europe is not too far for us. I'm very hopeful for this project. Thank you.
Very good. I think that gives a big hope from a big industry perspective. Now I would come to Mr. Raju Anthony. They're good friends of ours. They are based out of Gulf. They, if I can say so, they are at present a feeder operator, but probably they will be a main operator if IMEC is done. So from that perspective, how do you feel IMC going to be helpful?
I think it's, let's break this into commercial and operational benefits to the end customers. I think this is where we must try to see it from that vantage. The first and foremost, I think it gives you a much cheaper multimodal logistic options. And for that, we need to clearly understand the routing. We're talking of connections between Indian ports to UAE, Saudi ports, and a larger part of this being connected through rail integration. Now, what happens in rail is, we, as opposed to ocean freights, we clearly know what kind of vagaries of ocean freight, in terms of fluctuations and things that happen. And historically, we have seen that rail freight's delta is not more than 15-20%. So one of the foremost thing it does is it's kind of stabilize the entire value chain cost to the end customer. A related point to that is, we have to also see is while the initial segment of it is the sea route, and the sea route actually is not an innovation in that sense. It's already existing connecting to a lot of these ports. But we will again emphasize on the rail segment part of it, is the schedule integrity. A rail integration brings more than 90% schedule integrity. Now this is opposed to a current ocean freight, ocean integrity, schedule integrities are less than 60%. That's what Alpha Liner says. So we can imagine very well that it is giving you a stable, it is giving you a cheaper option, it is having a high level of integrity. So what does this mean to us in terms of operational model for the exporters? It means I can have a faster cash cycle. The exporter will immediately get his cash because if it's on an LC, the transaction is happening fast, the destination things. He needs to keep lesser inventory to serve these markets. Now this is a very, very big advantage. But its advantages not only flow from an angle of rail, I spoke about a rail a lot. It also has its impact on the sea side of it. And how so? The current routings, Suez being operational, let's say we all hope against hope, and let's say Suez is open, Vivek is opening very well that it starts, it resumes. And let's say it does, it gets back to where it was. But still, an IMEC has the potential of reducing seriously the port congestions that it brings about at Suez. And if not Suez, a large part of this is happening in Singapore. It's happening in the Straits of Malacca. And these are the global choke points. We have known this for ages that this have the potential of at least giving berthing delays of 6 to 7 days. Now this is a killer. IMEC clearly has the potential to overcome this. On one end is this. The second is most probably what it does is it kind of gives direct access to Middle East and Europe. Now this is a fantastic news for India because for the kind of commodities that we deal in, whether it's electronics, electricals, whether it's pharma, whether it's and most importantly for textiles and fashion and perishables, if I have to say, which are very transit sensitive. Their value gets eroded in the transit. I think this is what it kind of totally makes a difference. It is also giving an opportunity for a lot of investment and trade opportunities. Let me put it this way, commercially. Very clearly, if IMEC comes, I'm visualizing a lot of industrial hubs getting, kind of centered around direct port areas. And this means India, it will force hands of many countries who are part of this IMEC value chain to enter into free trade agreements. Currently, FTAs are very, very restrictive in their mind and scope as to what we can do differently, so to speak. Of course, IMEC emphasizes on certain kind of process requirements, and this comes in the digitalization and other aspects of it. So what are we visualizing? We are visualizing a unified mechanism of documentation, which means we need a seamless documentation which goes through. We are visualizing custom or digital custom corridors, most importantly. We are visualizing real-time cargo visibility, for that matter. And in some sense, to conclude, Europe is a very sensitive market, and the way it is seeing what kind of imports it is likely, what kind of imports they would welcome. I think IMEC raises the hope of giving a new kind of an operational delivery, and that is a CO2 optimized delivery, because a large part of this is rail.
Yeah.
And it meets a lot of this carbon benefit which is required to happen from that end. So I think there's a lot of value in terms of both commercial and operational aspects.
Very important thing Raju has said. One is that inventory carrying cost is going to be much lower, which means the cost of the product, the profitability of the product could be enhanced substantially. The second is unified documentation. I think it's good to hear. The basic failure of INSTC is because of the documentation. So I think this will be a very good opportunity for the India and the entire Gulf and European to sit together and do it. I'll come to Tapaswi, you as a large garment exporters, fabric exporters, Arvind Mills, a big name to reckon with. We will not talk about the China competition. We will talk about our strength, how it is going to be helpful to the European market.
See, currently the transit times are around 30-35 days to the European markets, and the freights are hovering somewhere around $2,000, $1,500 to $2,000 for a 40 high cube. That's number one in terms of cost, if I talk about. Number two, if I talk about it's about the speed, okay. If we compare with Bangladesh or our competitor, who's precisely a competitor to India, the cost of production in Bangladesh is comparatively lesser, as well as the compliances are a bit less compared to India. Now, once this cost, what we are offering, and second is Bangladesh has a least developed country tag, with which it's getting the European access for free. So that's another advantage they have where we are losing on it. So once we get onto this, once this IMEC happens, the leverage we get is in terms of logistics cost, that is the transport cost. So that 2,000, at a time it went to 8,000. People went, the industries were hanky-panky, they didn't know what to do, where to go. But it all happened, uncertainty prevails. But this uncertainty keeps coming maybe in 2 years or 5 years in various forms, COVID or Houthi or whatever it is. Something can hit in the next 5 or 10 years. So gearing up to those and having a resilient supply chain in this form will enable and give certainty to our customers in the Europe. So those are the H&Ms who are there in Europe and all those customers. We can tell them that, look, this route prevails. We can deliver in time, wherein currently your lead time may be 90 days to 120 days to hit the shelf. Whereas it drastically comes down, as you told, it will be reduced by another 40 days, 20 to 40 days. So the fast fashion, what we are on thriving now, the industry, the consumers, so that lead times will drastically come down. So then the Europe thinks that, oh, then why do we have to go to Bangladesh when the cost is less? The cost has come down, the service times have come down. And in the meanwhile, the support we require from the government in this thing for the apparels to grow up is through this corridor is once we sign up the FTA with the European market, that is we have with 4 countries now, we are also trying to expand that to whole European nation. So once that happens, I think we will move the competition from Bangladesh to India also. And India, the advantage is of vertical integration. We have, I mean, say for example, Arvind itself. We are into cotton, from cotton to yarn, yarn to fabric, fabric to garment. We have the whole value chain of, and the vertical integration. So that is what the customer also sees, you know. So if we have everything put together, the traceability in terms of sustainability aspect, Europe is big on sustainability. So it is easy to trace the product. Sustainability aspect also it helps. So all these 3-4 factors, if they, I mean the support from the government, and these 4 factors, if they fall in place, this will improve a lot.
Thank you. I think we are anyway getting a lot of support from Bangladesh because more than 60 to 70% of the manufacturers are Indians. So therefore, either way we are getting it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I will come to Mr. Akshay Bhatia, who has a large experience of shipping industry and is also the head of logistic division in the big conglomerate Adani. With your experience in ports, terminal and energy, how do you foresee the India UE and India GCC into IMEC?
Right, thank you. So I think I'll just take a step back. Many years ago, when the information highway was created, India kind of missed out, and we're talking about the 60s and the 70s. The cables passed through Colombo, and where the data cables went through, militarization happened, and this was during the Cold War, those became your natural sea routes because of the data inflow and the fact that you could do bunkering along the same point. So the data passed through the Strait of Malacca, it went through Colombo, Salalah, and then went out, right? So India has technically been bereft of its own corridor for a long time. And I think multiple governments have actually been trying to set up what would be a dedicated corridor for India's not just trade, but also services, exports and imports, and data connectivity and energy. We tried the INSTC. I'm sure it's going to keep going on because eventually trade between India and Russia needs a faster transit. But this becomes very interesting because, and the proof of concept will actually lie, as Raju already said, in what is already called the CEPA, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement between India and Dubai. And that's already led to a lot of free trade between the two countries. So basically, first of all, what we're talking about is replicating that model on 3 separate short-term corridors. So if somebody is expecting that in the next 2 years, somebody's going to ship cargo from here to Piraeus or Trieste, it's not going to happen. IMEC is going to give you small benefits along the value chain. For textiles, it becomes very interesting, of course, because AU gets speed to market, which everybody's spoken about, and possibly a lower cost. We don't know about that yet. And even if you do get a lower cost, how many different currencies do you get in? How do you pay? Who's the first logistics company to kind of streamline? Those are things, you know, we'll see in the next 2 to 3 years. But for cargo that is not pharma or textiles, there is still the risk of multiple handling, right? If you containerize it or you bulk it, cargo is going to be touched by 7 or 8 different stakeholders before it gets to Europe, right? And if I'm potentially shipping palletized cargo or semi-palletized cargo, and I'm not using Jewelry as a console-deconsole hub, then it becomes a bit of a risk. But those are solutions we'll get to when the problem strikes. For us, though, at Adani, there is, of course, the 2 ports of Mundra and Hazira, which are well placed to take advantage. There is, of course, Vadhavan, which is not us, but the government is already building it up. That will give you an additional gateway to Nhava Sheva. We all know that Adani has already taken a position at Haifa. So you've got the start and the potential middle exit point kind of already invested into by an Indian company. And I think the government's hoping for more such investments. But I think the true success will be going back to the first point, which was data and energy. With Saudi, UAE, India, all potentially capable of having a unified grid so that you can take advantage of each other's excess or deficit energy is going to be actually where the money will come back on the investments in this corridor. Now, Saudi is already committed, and they had to commit anyway because they have to build the rail connectivity from UAE, Doha into Jordan and Israel. So now, if you ask me, from an origin point, India is largely there. The shipping routes between India and Jebel Ali, I think there are 4 or 5 vessels a day with 4 or 5 days transit, which will get you there. Middle East to Haifa is yet to be seen, and then Haifa outward. It's largely straightforward. It all comes down to which port in Europe will kind of become that last hub point. So in terms of positivity, there's a lot to be seen, but I think short-term benefits will be smaller trade happening between 2 or 3 different countries in the near term. Thanks.
Great. Especially your experience with India, Bangladesh, on the power sector. I am giving you a following question. The second question is, how do you think that export of renewable energy and hydrogen energy is going to be? Is there an export potentiality, and if so, how we can do it?
So I think on Bangladesh, you might as well ask Anurag for what his opinion is, but I think it's very different. So Bangladesh was a thermal power project, right? So that's heavy, unsustainable, grey goods. And that will continue to grow, no doubt, because if you look at it today, India at its peak consumes 450 gigawatt of electricity. By 2030, India will consume 750 gigawatt of energy at any point in time. We just simply don't have that much access to coal to build that. Now, this is where it becomes really interesting, and I'll come to hydrogen later. When it comes to renewable energy, it's supposed to deliver anything between 150 to 200 gigawatt, of which I can tell you Adani is already doing 45 gigawatt through Adani Green, which is coming up in Khavda in Rajasthan and parts of Tamil Nadu through wind and solar. For me, if you ask me, the main interesting piece is going to be how we look at battery energy storage, especially at the peak of electricity and the low time. And then you've got Saudi and UAE, which have unhindered, unlimited access to the sun, right? And can you potentially pull in power from those places? Now, India is a unified grid. And we are one of the few countries where the national grid actually works extremely well through purchase power agreements for everyone. So now imagine just connecting that grid to the Middle East using IMEC as an excuse or as an enabler. And then you've suddenly got access to a lot more power at the right time of the year. And then the inter-sharing and interoperability increases. The last piece, and hydrogen, we don't know yet right now because the pipelines and all are yet to be seen. But now you look at Europe, which is going through CBAM and everything else that they've been coming up with. So does this also allow India to get better preferential agreements? Because we've got a target of 2070, while they're looking at a much earlier timeline to continue the trade for textiles, steel, and all other commodities. So I think a lot is to be seen, and most of it will depend on the policy framework as we go along. But as I said, the short-term successes are yet to be defined, but I think if we get those, we'll largely be in order. Thank you.
Great. We come to the second round. It is going to be a very short time because we are already 20 minutes left. So what is your analysis of the current as well as if IMEC comes successfully, what could be the cost factor which is going to be beneficial? Of course, you said that the time factor, you talked about it, cost factor with your experience as a shipping company.
So Rama, if we are looking at the current structure of the services, I'm talking purely on the logistics supply chain from the carrier side. I think especially when we are comparing it with the current transits, what we are looking at and the future, we are looking at, and the most important factor, what we are missing out actually in all this is not only the corridor which is supposed to be coming up, but what kind of an infrastructure it will be creating. We are missing out the larger picture which is connected to the IMEC. It is not only the cargo movement, it is all about the connectivity, the port infrastructure, the warehousing, the distribution, cross-stuffing. It's multiple kind of factors coming in, and I think the most important will be this will drive the economies, all across. Wherever this corridor is moving, you see the chain of the business. You see the manpower involvement. You see the job creation for those particular countries or for those economies. So I think the bigger impact will be in totality on everything, whether it is a business, the cost, the people management, the warehousing, the infrastructure development. It's going to change the whole dynamics. I think we are still looking at the initiation, right? But we are not looking at this big size. I don't know when it will happen, 2 years, 5 years, and it is a big project, so it will take some time. When we are coming into the cost side, as I said, the commercials are going to fluctuate, it depends, Some carriers will have a opportunity in the India, Middle East. Some carrier will have an opportunity on the European side. Somebody will have an advantage on the rail leg or a trucking leg. But if I ballpark a number, with the transit time reduction, the cost should be reducing between 20 to 25%.
Great.
This is not a small number. This is the estimated numbers which has been shared in the different study by different people. The impact on the cost of the product should be between 20 to 25% with the fast connectivity, the fast delivery, the product appreciation, and the most important, the customer. End of the day, all the shippers is our customers, right? So we are able to deliver what we are able to in a stupid time.
Thank you. The same questions to you, Raju, but there is a small changes. How do you see the air, sea, and sea cargo moving, especially having FTWZs in Dubai?
I think it's an interesting point. And like I said, Vivek spoke about cost. And I would say that we need cost to save cost. There is a lot of cost that is coming on that side. Very clearly, FTZs, the investments into the entire corridor, whether it's FTZ or whether it is, I think more than FTZ is a part which is to do with the digitalization on the customs and the trade digitalization, so to speak. So we are talking of a larger and a more international overview of port community systems. We're talking of APIs which will have cargo visibilities in that sense. We are looking at very cross-border data or digital data standards. And this I'm speaking from an angle of schemes for whether it is for manifest transmissions, whether it is for invoices, whether it is unified codes for this. So all these become a kind of infrastructure for the FTZ itself to function, or acting as interoperability for IMEC to function in a more smoother way, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Alexey, what do you think that the minimum requirement is there of the containers to have a sustainability of this IMEC in terms of numbers?
If we talk about containers, we need to realize that right now we are talking in the time of crisis. What does it mean? Suez Canal has problems, and there is huge increase of transit time and the cost for the shipping lines as well, going across Africa. But to be realistic and not only optimistic, we need to realize that any intermodal corridor costs more than pure shipping. So big vessels going through Suez Canal with no problems will have beneficial on the costs. The market varies. So we need to understand that in positive times, when there will be no restrictions on the routes, and the freight rates will be on the lower side, the IMEC will not be competitive in terms on the rates against pure shipping, because CIM will give very good rate. MSC will get very good rate. And what does it mean? It means that we should believe that the shippers will be able to pay for this advantage, like transit time, Yes, transit time is better, let's say, for 20 days, and you are ready to pay a bit more. But they will not be ready to pay a lot. And this realize in a system of possible subsidies for the corridor, like Chinese do. You know that Chinese, they developed their intermodal corridor for 15 or maybe 20 years. And it is not a secret, there is a system of motivating people to ship. And filling the system, they bring the system to the more effectiveness. I think that the minimal number, the minimal market share that the IMEC should cover from India to Europe should be about 10% of the total trade. This should be like fastest way, more expensive way, but there should be some customers that are ready to pay. How much should we pay? I can give you an example. Average premium from China to Europe is about 1,000.5 up to $2,000 for 40-feet container. The customer pays while going from China to Duisburg on railway, comparing to deep sea. And there is about 10% of the market that is it paying for. But what is the very tricky point? Right now, in the terms of crisis, somebody, or I think it is the countries that participate in the corridor, should take a decision that they are ready to invest and they will support this corridor even in the high times of high rates and in the low rates. But this is a very big geopolitical decision that should be made. I believe it responds the interest of India.
Thank you.
Adding to it, see, all the customers, we thrive on customers' demand, okay? Tomorrow, if a customer says, in terms of sustainability aspect and time aspect, if he says that we need to ship it through this route, this is what we are asking for, then we have to go for it. That's one. And second is sustainability also. India, 10 years ago, we never spoke about sustainability. Now, because the customer is asking, they're asking, what's your sustainability score? Where are you? What's your carbon spend? So we are becoming more aware and we are forced to change ourselves. So then also there'll be a force which may ask for a change. And third is you also have to calculate the savings on your working capital. Yeah. When we sit and do the costing,
correctly.
One is your working capital, it gets reduced, the time it gets reduced. So there are other factors, 2-3 more factors. When we add to this, 10%, I don't think people would mind.
Thank you. Anuragji, given your experience at having multiple locational factories that you have, the Jindal Powers have got, what do you feel about the reverse into India, the raw material cost going to be for manufacturing here in India at much cheaper rate, especially on the steel?
All right. I mean, see, basically the raw material for the steel is all available most of the times in India itself, and a lot of things which comes from, I mean, including the iron ore, it comes from China. So for us, as per say, the raw materials availability are more into the Southeast Asia, but not into any European country. If we leave it apart, Russia, I mean, if the trade barriers opens, they have a lot of resources where these transportation can be done. So my kind of industries, what we do is wherever we have resources of coal or iron ore and anything, like in Africa, many countries we started finding up. So governments are offering us to come and settle down the plants here, but we don't do anything at present. But as per my opinion, I mean, I had a lot of industry research into this, a lot of perishable industries. I mean, you can imagine around still the European 10% to 15% feed of the perishable items of the food items, it only happens from Southeast Asia, like fish and different kind of meats, and India is the biggest exporter for this. So, but the cost, on what cost we are shipping? Shipping cost, as a gentleman has said, is still very cheap, I'll tell you, because a lot of ships are coming in and the space will get vacuum. I mean, if at all this corridor will boost up, the space will empty for the shipping lines, and that will remain a big challenge for this corridor as per say a cost. Cost delta will be very minimal, and the shipping lines, and I mean, when they see if anything going under vacuum, they do everything for free also. Today they are ready. I mean, if they have a lot of loads, 5,000, I mean, my minimum load is a 5,000 tons. That's a bare minimum one. So they are ready to do that cost. Again, FTZ, Dubai you mentioned in one of the topic. That is the only place where a free trade zone can get benefited. I mean, the daily essential food grains, perishable items. There are a lot of things from India to done. India is actually the grains, especially the exports, what is happening to Russia and the Europe is massive. Unbelievable. But that's all happening right now through vessels, through containers, and whatever the best media, or if it's a volumes are high, break bulks. So let's see how the things will turn around. Trade barriers we need to see first.
I think, yeah, you are true. We have just started talking about it, as Vivek said, that every forum we should be talking about it. It goes to the government's ears. Give a big round of applause to the panelists who have done wonderfully well. We got another 9 minutes to go. There are any questions from you, the audience? Any questions? No? I thought it was very interesting people who have come and gathered here to talk about IMEC. Keku sir, you are an air person, but still what do you feel that about the movement from sea to air and air to sea? Please, give a mic to Keku sir. I want 2 questions at least from this beautiful audience.
Thank you, Ramaji. Yeah, please move more cargo by air. Anything else, other question you wanted?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, on the same IMEC story, are there challenges that the air industry needs to take into cognizance for the future? Is there any debatable points that we need to look into?
I think, anybody wants to answer? Okay. Though this is technically, we are very poor into air-sea corridor and sea-air corridor. I think this is a very great opportunity, especially with the government coming with the recent notification of creating AFS in various ICDs and CFS. It is not extended to CFS, but to ICD. If this comes to this, the air cargo terminals, AFS can be created at the CFS area. I think there is a great opportunity, especially with the IMEC going. But only thing is what we need to do is unitization of that cargo from sea cargo to the air cargo would be a challenge. Probably place like Dubai, it should not be a challenge at all. The free country, they are very receptive to the business. I think that is what I look into, and there is a great opportunity.
Rama, I just want to add one thing, See, again, we are talking about crisis and the opportunity together. So if we foresee, something happening on the air side, I think air will complement the sea part of the business. And if you ask me, there is a huge potential, getting into this because, we are missing out a concept of air and sea, which was a big no for India. I don't know why, but historically, with due respect to all the air industry, the air thinks only air. They don't go beyond air. And the sea thinks only sea. They don't think about air. But actually, from the freight forwarding aspect, we have some great friends who do both sides of the business. And whenever we are talking to them, I think they will be encashing on this opportunity very, very fast, subject to, of course, all the regulatory approvals which we need to take. Because you can move a cargo from here to Dubai, as example, from here to Israel, I don't know, from here to Paris as one of the hub, from here to Jeddah or someplace, And we are talking about all premium Indian cargo. We talk about a garment which is moving by air. We are talking about a pharma moving by air in the huge numbers. This kind of a cargo, subject to the commercial and the cost, can be moved in one leg from air and then can be consolidated to the next leg in sea. But I think people need to think and evolve. That's the whole idea, because if we are in the silo and we are thinking as sea, only sea, it will not help. And if somebody is thinking only air, as air, it will not help. So I think as I said in the beginning, all the stakeholders need to be coming together and trying to find solutions for our industry. That's the whole idea.
I think we have another 5 minutes to go. What is that the panelists look forward from the... Oh, sorry, please. Can I...
Rama, now that there is not much question, I would like to make some, addition to what the panelists were mentioning, but I will also ask a question. You were discussing about IMEC should be discussed more. I definitely agree with that idea, and I have to tell you that in FIATA, we are taking care of almost all the available corridors throughout the world, including IMEC, and we are giving an very much importance into IMEC, and we are discussing in FIATA corridors how we can help build this corridor. I think this is one of the main concerns because corridors are complex systems. They are not just transport. They are, as mentioned, customs procedures, documentation, digitalization, and then what we are trying to do is actually empower the supply chains. So no matter what will be the realities of seagoing traffic, whether going through Suez or any other route, which would be much more competitive from the freight point of view, availability of a corridor has great importance because it is not just the freight cost, it is also the, as you have mentioned, the financial part of the systems are very important. Then I would like to mention that you were talking about documentation. As regards to documentation, FIATA combined bill of lading is just serving that purpose. From point of origin till the point of destination, with one single document, a negotiable document, you can cover the entire chain. And FIATA has an agreement with the Dubai Customs that the electronic FIATA bill of lading is accepted by the Dubai Customs authorities, where I think India's first choice to reach the Middle East is via Dubai. So there is a solution for that already. But what we have to do is that there is a new convention introduced by United Nations, which is a negotiable cargo document convention. So we have to adapt that convention into the legislation in the country so that it can take effect. And only 10 countries required to integrate this into their system. The second platform that we are discussing, it was actually discussed a couple of days ago in Trieste. In Trieste, we have set up a Trieste summit, which is very much concerned on linking IMEC towards Trieste to Europe. But my question is this to the panelists. So while we are talking about this corridor establishment, I see a great opportunity that we can realize this even today. If we go through Iraq, through Turkey to Europe, the road is now exists, the capacities are ready, and as you know, my country, I'm not promoting my country, but Turkey has a great infrastructure, physical infrastructure, software infrastructure, human skill to undertake such connection between the continents, if you like. And today, the Ro-Ro capacities, container service capacities, truck capacities are available, port capacities, and the route via Basra is now open and functioning. Would this be something interesting for the Indian shippers to go via Turkey, in addition to going via Dubai, Saudi, Israel to Europe? Instead of 3-4 countries, you are going through 2 countries where the capacities and knowledge is available. So I would like to ask whoever would like to take. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We are just running out of time. We are just 20 seconds. Yes, there is great opportunity. There are people who would like to go via Turkey as well, but we leave it to the industry expert to do it. Thank you so much. Please.
So many people in the room and the energy is so low, they deserve a bigger round of applause, everyone. What an enlightening conversation. The panel has shown that with IMEC and emerging logistics investment, India is not merely participating in global supply chains, it is preparing to anchor them. I now request Mr. Mohit Mewani to join us on stage to felicitate our remarkable industry leaders. And I also request Mr. S. Ramakrishnan to be with Mr. Mohit and felicitate our panelists. We would first like to felicitate Mr. Vivek Sharma from EXIM Integrated Shipping Services. Next, we would like to felicitate Mr. Raju Anthony from Abrao Group. Next, we would like to felicitate Mr. Alexey Kravchenko from FESCO. Next, we would like to felicitate Mr. Akshyat Bhatia from Adani Group. Next, we would like to felicitate Mr. Tapaswi PVN from Arvind Limited. Next, we would like to felicitate Mr. Anurag Chaturvedi from Jindal Power. And now I request Mr. Mohit Mewani to felicitate our absolutely remarkable moderator for this session, Mr. S. Ramakrishna. Can we all come ahead for a group photograph, please? And can we have a smiling group photograph, please? Thank you.